The various events that are happening today around this topic show that our efforts are bearing fruit and that there is an increased awareness and interest from our managers and staff in disability inclusion. While it is important that our managers fully embrace the concepts of diversity and disability inclusion and advance it through their actions, it is up to all of us to build and promote an organization that is fully inclusive. Therefore, I want to thank each and every one of you for joining this event today. And I want to thank the staff union for bringing us all together around this important topic. I wish you all a wonderful International Day of Persons with Disabilities.
More can be done to eliminate the barriers that prevent the full and effective participation of diverse stakeholders, including persons with disabilities, in all disarmament fora. Inclusion benefits us all. Starting with ourselves, the Office for Disarmament Affairs is embarking on a learning journey to both better understand the impact of weapons on disabilities and identified options for how to provide meaningful access to and inclusion of persons with disabilities in disarmament efforts. We have joined the collective efforts by the UN Secretariat to ensure inclusion and accessibility for all personnel. With the United Nations Disability Inclusion Strategy as a guiding framework, my office will soon launch an action plan to ensure that disability perspectives are integrated in all of our work.
I also encourage everyone to educate themselves on both visible and invisible disabilities and to avoid making assumptions. Let us be open and transparent, yet avoid asking personal questions. Allow colleagues with disabilities to share their experience only if and when they are comfortable.
Ensuring our websites are accessible to persons with disabilities is critical to serving all our constituencies and reaching the broadest possible audience. Following a successful pilot, we hope to see wayfinding technology extended to our UN buildings and conference centers around the world. It is based on universal design, which would benefit not only persons with disabilities, but all people who visit and work at our premises. Moving forward, OICT remains focused and committed to furthering this work and to supporting the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities and the objectives of the Secretary General's UN Disability Inclusion Strategy.
A lot of improvement. Thank you to Mr. Marian, the chairperson. He delegated a lot of things to human resource area. Security for security. There is improvement.
I think what we see in our acts, in our behavior, and our attitudes on how we deal with persons with disabilities, how we're able to recognize it and put in contingency plans on dealing with that.
So far, I've been working with clusters by providing resources, training and guidance around disability inclusion, including in relation to COVID-19. Familiarising clusters on the IASC guidelines on the inclusion of persons with disabilities in humanitarian response. And we've also been working to ensure that disability inclusion is well represented and explored in the 2021 HNO and HRP.
My dad, who is 94, has dyslexia and bipolar. He was determined to be successful. He put himself through pre-med and then graduated from one of two veterinarian universities in the country. I have dyslexia that affects my reading and writing. Back in the 1960s and the 1970s, the academic world was not prepared to teach students with this disability. The shame that those of us with the invisible disabilities have because of how we are treated is powerful. It lives deep down in our soul and is extremely difficult to overcome. Acceptance and accommodations are a prerequisite for the disabled. I would not have been prepared to be able to be the best mom for Samantha if my dad had not gone through his struggles and I had not gone through mine. His lessons to me and his granddaughter have made it so that she and I can take that shame of our disabilities, and instead of putting it in the vault, we can put it in the trash. Thank you, Dad, so much for all your lessons. Love, Daphne.
Well, thank you for asking me to give some personal reflections on the occasion of the International Day of Persons with Disability. I've had a short time where I have had to navigate the world as a disabled person. In the spring of 2017, I went in for what should have been a complex but not in extraordinary operation that went very, very bad, and 3-4 operations followed thereafter. But as a consequence of that, I was on crutches for pretty much a 2-year period. But during that time, I had to do my job, and doing my job meant traveling to across the world. I was Director General for IUCN, and I visited Africa, Asia, North America, and everywhere in between on 2 crutches and in wheelchairs. And it made me realize and understand for just that moment, these 2 years, the strength, the commitment, the extraordinary power that people who live with disabilities and carry every day. So on this International Day of Persons with Disabilities, first, my solidarity to my colleagues who are living different able-bodied in permanency. I cannot begin to understand your struggles, but at least I have begun to see a glimpse of what you live on a daily basis. And secondly, my commitment. I will do everything I can to ensure that we make UNEP, or the UN compound at Gigiri, accessible, because it is not today, and that is not acceptable.
We welcome the Secretary General's progress report regarding the implementation of the Disability Inclusion Strategy, but we still got to do more to make sure that we tear down the barriers externally as well as internally. That is our responsibility as colleagues and as a fellow human beings. As long as I have the privilege of serving as New York Staff Union President, I will work alongside with all stakeholders to tear down those barriers. And once I'm no longer President, I'm going to keep on pushing as well. COVID-19 brought us additional challenges, so we shall come together, do more to make sure that people with disabilities are safe in their homes and their communities, to make sure that they have access to technology, including high-speed internet that allows for their full participation in this 21st century economy. One may know that one of the most important lessons post-COVID-19 will be the social impact all around the world. In this spirit, Let's commit ourselves to building a world where we attempt to unify human spirit with technologies so that one sense of self-worth will last a lifetime.